Hey, everybody, welcome to this evening's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. It is wonderful to have you here with me. It is Sunday, May 18th, and I have a strange feeling it's going to be another one of those weeks. So let's catch up with the week we just had. I want to jump right in to your questions. The first one is from Lindsay. Question for Mary. That would be me. What do you think Donald is thinking now that Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer? Renewed fear of his own mortality, perhaps? It's impossible under the best of circumstances to know what somebody else is thinking, of course, but we can engage in informed speculation. Now I know that a tweet was sent out from Donald's official, well, not a tweet, it was probably on his failing social media platform. And it was very short and it was 2 sentences long, that's what I meant by short, sorry. It was grammatical. There were no weird misspellings or miscapitalizations, and it was polite. So my informed speculation is that Donald didn't write it. So whatever was in that post did not include Donald's real thoughts. I don't think Donald is so defended against having reality seep into his consciousness that I don't think that he ever allows himself consciously to think about his own mortality. Like he's the kind of guy who thinks that it's unlikely that anything's ever going to take him down. And so far he's been proven right. But also he's a nihilist. So if he ever did think he was going to be taken down, he would bring all of us with him happily. Well, not happily, grumpily, but he would take all of us with him. I think this is more, again, speculating. He's probably thinking that it's because Biden got sick because he's a loser and he's weak. That's the kind of thing Donald would think. That's the level of sanity and maturity we're dealing with in the Oval Office. But he will not be able to restrain himself. Is also some informed speculation of mine. So we'll see where this goes in the next few days. Also, of course, this will be the biggest news probably for a while, and Donald won't like that competition. Lizzie, question. So if we don't know if detainees in El Salvador are alive or not, why is U.S. paying for them to be detained? That is a very good question. Why? Why indeed? Maybe they do know, and they're lying about not knowing, and or maybe they are just paying in advance for other future detainees. It's a very bad situation, that's for sure. Abby, question. How do I turn my kitten tree into a cat tree that can hold 2 rambunctious siblings? Thank you, Mary, and your team. Well, thank you, Abby. How does one do that? I don't know because I've never had cats who use cat trees. I think I'm guessing here. I would anchor it to something, like preferably a stud behind a wall. That's my advice. How you do it, get a stud finder, or better yet, get somebody who knows how to do these things would probably be the simplest thing. Because if they're big, if they're full-grown cats and they're rambunctious, they're gonna be jumping off that thing. So let's anchor it securely to something that's stable. In other words, not Donald. Johnny, question. Would Donald secretly care about Biden's health knowing he might be next while making fun of him, or will he just rejoice in what happens to him? Yeah, I mean, this honestly, like this is on a lot of people's minds. And I'll just add a little bit to what I said earlier. It's difficult to express to you how desperately afraid Donald is. okay, on a very, very deep unconscious level, and he's basically afraid of becoming aware of the truth about who he really is. That's one thing. He's afraid of being humiliated, which is related to that. And yeah, I mean, he's afraid of being found out by other people as well as by himself. So, a huge amount of his psychic energy is spent repressing all of that knowledge, keeping it unconscious, keeping his conscious mind from having access to it. So I just have to say again, I think it's extremely unlikely that Donald is going to have any conscious awareness that the news of Biden's health uh, should be any cause for alarm for him. One, because he's so deluded about himself, like he actually thinks that he's healthy and virile. You know, when he looks at have you guys ever seen those trading cards? They're non-fungible tokens, so they're not actual trading cards. They're just virtual trading cards with Donald as a superhero or an astronaut or a cowboy, and with lots of muscles and very fit. Like Donald actually thinks those are accurate representations of him, and I'm not kidding you. So the idea that he would think, oh wow, Biden's sick and he's only 3 years older than I am, and I'm really unhealthy guy and I'm really overweight. No, he can't do that. So it's more about rejoicing for him because that's the kind of guy he is. Robert, question. Is Donald really illiterate? No. No. It would be impossible to fake your way to where he is if you like literally couldn't read. However, that's there are many things that go into being competent, right? Now, just because you can read doesn't mean that you're competent, or it doesn't mean you know anything. It depends on what you read and how you process information. Um, Again, I'm speculating. I'm going to speculate a lot about stuff like this tonight. I have a feeling. I think there's a possibility that Donald has some kind of learning disability. I mean, again, don't know, but just based on things I've seen. But I think the biggest problem for him and for us, mostly for us, is not that he's illiterate. It's not even that he's deeply unintelligent, although he is in many, many ways. But, intelligence is a very complex, multi-factored phenomenon, right? And there's not one thing that makes you intelligent. There are many different aspects and facets to it. And we don't factor in a lot of the things that I think make us intelligent, like creativity and emotional intelligence, et cetera, et cetera. So, one thing we also don't factor in, which is I think the one thing that makes it impossible for your intelligence to matter, even if you are intelligent, is if you don't have intellectual curiosity. Donald has zero intellectual curiosity. So whether he's literate, whether he even has a relatively, average or slightly above average IQ, makes him incompetent. So that's the thing that's most worrisome for us because that will never change. Astra, question. If your uncle is told by Congress that he cannot keep the 747 plane, how will he react? He'll keep it. What's Congress going to do about it? And this is a problem we've had all along, right? With the judicial branch, judges render orders, they get ignored. And then the judges say, no, 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 you have to follow our order. And then Donald or somebody else in the executive branch says, you in what army? There's no enforcement mechanism in the legislative or the judicial branch. So he's just going to see what he can get away with. And that is one of his strengths. He pushes the envelope. If he gets away with something, he pushes it further, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And look where we are. CBB. Question. Mary, how do you find this? How do you find the strength and bravery to tell us about the greed and dysfunction of your family? It really helps me understand and cope. Well, first of all, I'm glad that it helps you understand and cope. Like that's been my goal since the beginning. The main reason I wrote my book in 20 well, it came out in July 2020 was because I thought it was really, really important for people, the American people, to have as much information at their disposal as possible before they voted in November 2020, but also because I knew it was like the phenomenon that is Donald and his quote unquote success in terms of getting to bear where he was in terms and in our government was driving a lot of people crazy, including me. And one of the most gratifying things about the response to my first book was how many people on the one hand felt that they understood better, but also how many people saw certain aspects of their own family in mine. I think it really did help people understand their own dysfunctional families better. Um, so that was cool because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your family has a lot of power and a lot of money. Families are families. So a lot of that resonated with people, which I was grateful for. It's kind of you to say that, but I don't think it took strength or bravery. It was something I felt I needed to do. I was literally one of 5 people on the planet who had access to the kind of information that I felt needed to be put in front of the American people, and I was the only person on the planet willing to do it. So it was sort of a no-brainer to me, and I was doing it from a position of great privilege and relative safety. So, but thank you. It's very kind. Lily, question. Has Orange always been concerned with his hair and makeup? Does baldness run in the family? Um, okay. He's always been concerned. He's vain for sure. He's always been vain. He's always been self-conscious of his thin hair. My grandfather had a receding. I think my grandfather was born with a receding hairline. I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure. But my grandfather never had a lot of hair, but he wasn't bald. He had a receding hairline, but I think he had as much hair at 80 as he did at 40, right? But like my dad, well, I mean, my dad died very young, so it's hard to say. But my dad had a very healthy head of hair. My uncle Rob had a lot of hair, so it was just Donald, and I'm sure, and my grandfather, and I'm sure that that was a problem for Donald. I don't remember when he started wearing makeup, to tell you the truth. And look, I mean, I don't have a problem with caring about how you look or be vain. Everybody wants to look good. It just, to me, like the way he goes about it, it suggests a certain lack of self awareness that is troubling to me. Plus, it just reminds us that there's literally nobody close to him who's willing to sit down and have a conversation with him, either because they're afraid of how he's going to react or because they don't care. Yeah, it's weird. Denissa, thank you so much for that. Comment, I wonder if the Biden bashers feel like crap yet. Nah, I'm sorry to say no. I mean, let's put it this way. There are people, if it depends whom you mean, but if by Biden bashers you mean the people like on the right, sorry, on the left who wanted him to step down and kind of humiliated him publicly, yeah, they're gonna feel bad about the fact that he's sick. They're not gonna feel bad about the way they behaved, I don't think. And on the right, no, they'll feel celebratory because they're awful. Sabrina, question. How does one upgrade to a paid membership? I can't seem to find that option. I can help you with that. Okay, so, and also, Sabrina, thank you for mentioning this because it reminds me to remind everybody that we now have paid YouTube subscriptions. Before you get worried, it doesn't change anything. Like subscribing to our channel, that's still free. In order to get access to the channel and all of our video, our shows and stuff, that's still free. However, if you want to support us in a different way, we have paid subscriptions now. And basically, if you visit the channel, the Mary Trump Media channel, um, it's and you go to the top of the page, it will have it will say paid subscribers or paid subscriptions, and all you need to do is follow the instructions. There are different levels of membership, um, so different levels of support, and for each level, you get extras. And so say you start at the first level, which I believe is called the Good in Us, you get emojis and stickers and a couple other things. And then if you go up to the next level, you get all of those things plus more. Sometimes it's extra video content, sometimes it's behind the scenes stuff, sometimes et cetera, et cetera. So every level up, you get all of the stuff from the lower levels as well, plus more. So check it out. We're really excited about it. So again, thank you for asking. Christopher, thank you so much, Christopher. That's awesome. Question, Mary, have you noticed yet any supply chain disruptions in your area that are affecting supermarkets and other businesses? I haven't really. I'm trying to think. Actually, yeah, there have been. It's very specific items, and it's not a lot, but oh man, I wish I could remember. Oh, I'll try to think of what it is, but, like, I needed something and I went to the store, and it's, like, literally the only thing the store didn't have, and then I went back or I went to another store and it was the same thing. So I think it's just slowly starting to hit specific items. I think in the next 2 to 4 weeks, it's going to be really noticeable across the board. So I don't know, and the problem is I don't know that we're gonna know ahead of time what kinds of items, although hopefully somebody's gonna figure that out but then again, then what? We get people start panic buying, and then that's problematic. So it's going to be wild, and we now know that businesses are starting to attach line item costs about tariffs, which you might remember Jeff Bezos at Amazon tried to do. So in other words, what Amazon wanted to do was, say you go to buy a case of water. Amazon was going to show you in the product description that the baseline cost of the case of water, and then how much extra it was going to be because of the tariffs. So people understood it wasn't like price gouging. It was, item is more expensive because the tariffs are adding 25% or what have you. So now other businesses like DHL, which is like a courier, it's like FedEx or UPS, they're starting to do that. So people understand that, hey, it's not just DHL trying to charge you more for no reason. It's DHL charging you more because everything's more expensive for them because of the tariffs. So keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. And also, let us know if you've seen anything. And I'll also try to remember what that product was that I can't find anywhere. And apparently I've stopped thinking I need it because I can't even remember what it is. Maya Cheryl, thank you so much as always. That's awesome. Oh, cool. Just a little money for the Mary Needs a Kitten Kittens Fund. Thank you for understanding. I really do. I do. I want a Mary Trump Media Kindle of kittens. I'll settle for one kitten. But I should probably have more because that one kitten is going to have a lot of treats. So, might need to. Well, Cap and Lyndon will help with that. That's for sure. Big Bad Wolf, question. Why do you think Donald is obsessed with Biden? Well, one, Biden beat him badly in 2020. Two, Biden was an infinitely better president than Donald could ever hope to be. So those would be two of the biggest reasons. Mostly it's the Bidens having beaten him so badly. And also, Donald is a deeply damaged person, but on some level, he knows that Biden is just not just a better president, but is just better as a human in every single way across every single category. That's why. If you listen to him talk about Biden and the insults and stuff, he's talking about himself. It's kind of fascinating. Miss October question: does Donald's team genuinely like him, or just don't want to lose their jobs? Does anyone actually like him? Uh, no, nobody likes Donald. He's unlikable. He's unlovable, which is, the fact that he's unlovable is his greatest tragedy and trauma. But it's also very bad for us. I think there are two categories of people. There are people like Stephen Miller, for example, um, who are vile and also just like, you know, compared to Stephen Miller, Donald is actually a really likable guy, which is just showing you how horrible Stephen Miller is. Donald puts up with Stephen Miller. Donald accepts him and embraces him, metaphorically speaking, because Stephen Miller knows how to suck up to him and because he's just such a horrible human being who's willing to do anything Donald asks of him in order to get his way with creating all these horrific, cruel anti-immigrant policies. But does Stephen Miller like Donald? No, he likes the fact that Donald doesn't reject him because he's a vile, hideous human. And the rest of them, it's because they like the access to power and or they don't want to lose their jobs. Yeah, so it's grim, but that's just the way that is. Lois, question: who would make the best next Democratic candidate, in my opinion? I don't know yet. It's really early days. Well, is that true? No, we're going to need to know by next year for sure. But not many people have been making moves, you know? Um, I have some ideas about who it shouldn't be, but I'm going to keep them to myself for the time being. There's some people I would like to see step up, and I'm not saying that he or she should be the candidate, but I think the Democrats really need to have a very vigorous debate about where we are, what we need to do, where we need to go, and who can best make the case that the Democrats need to win. So far, and again, this is not about whether or not I think he should be the next candidate for the presidency. I think that so far, the person making the best case is Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois. Whether that means he's running or not, I don't know. But what I hope it means is that other people are paying attention to how he's behaving and how he's carrying himself, because it's a model for how other people should be doing those things as well. Oh, cool. From my Substack, The Good Mouse. NA asks, hello, do you think people with narcissistic characteristics can be manipulated into doing good? Yes, but that would be a specific, because it's not just about Donald's narcissism, it's about his character. So there's nothing about what Democrats want or stand for that appeals to him, because we like unity. We like treating people better. We're not racists. We are pro-immigrant, you know? That does not appeal to Donald. Like, it would have gotten him, if the Democrats had wooed him, that would have gotten him so far, but no further. You know what I mean? So, in general, sure, narcissists, people with narcissistic characteristics can be manipulated into doing good things to a point. If you want to go beyond that point, then that person would have to be characterologically aligned with doing good things. So they're kind of separate issues, but interesting question. Spencer, thanks so very much, Spencer. That's awesome. Hey, Mary, question. Is it just me, or did the dramatic Sharpie signing of the executive orders look more like the predicted result of any associated future failed polygraph test? Yeah. Yep. That's for sure. Yeah, I always think his signature looks like an EKG, somebody hooked up to an EKG who's having cardiac arrest. It's very alarming. Um, but it's also like the signings of the executive orders are very alarming to me on the one hand because it's clear he has no idea what's in these orders. And two, it's just all about his getting attention, and it's really creepy at this point. It's literally like watching a toddler and a toddler dance recital. That was a terrible way of putting it, but I couldn't think of anything else. He's just so thirsty for attention still, and it's never enough. So, like, these executive orders just remind us, like, what a black hole of need this person is. Deshaun, wow, Deshaun, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Question. Did you hear about a 30-year-old woman that is brain dead that's been on life support for 90 days that's pregnant, where they have to force her to have a baby, and that baby will be blind or something else that's beyond else it's not being reported. I've heard of the case. I don't know the specifics of the case. But yes, that's what we have to look forward to, and it won't matter what the family wants or the person who is in a decision-making capacity, those wishes will be ignored. Like, we know what we know that is against her family's wishes. We're doing a video about it tomorrow. We'll do a deep dive into all the specifics, so we can talk about the family's position and what's happening with the state and the legal ramifications, and also where are the doctors and all this. Like, that's something else. Like, where's the American Medical Association? All this, yeah, a lot. It's just awful. It's awful. It's dangerous, and it is the way things are and are going to be in about half of our states right now. So we need to be paying attention to it. But it's just, yeah, some absolutely horrific because a lot of us plan ahead for this kind of thing. Like, there's a reason people have not just wills, but living wills and healthcare proxies. And it's so that, hey, if X, Y, or Z happens, this is what I want you to do or not to do. Or if I'm incapacitated, I want this other person in my life to make the decisions on my behalf, not the state, not some anonymous doctor, people who care about me, right? All that's it's being ignored, and it's very dangerous. Okay, Sharon from Substack asks, what do you think about the Afrikaner refugees taking spots from Afghanistan refugees? I'm so angry about it. I'm not entirely sure I can contain my anger. It's we have it because it's not just Afghanistan. It's Rwanda. It's many people from many different countries who are facing either serious persecution, political or otherwise, facing serious illness or death, starvation because of death potentially from starvation or illness, are being kept out of this country because they're brown or black. But we're letting in a bunch of racist white Afrikaners, like pro-apartheid South Africans, because they are fleeing the persecution of not being able to be racist in their own country. So we're going to let them do that here because that's what our government supports. It is beyond sickening. Deshaun, again, wow, awesome. Thank you. That's incredibly generous of you. And remember, this nurse has been on life support for the sake of the baby. This was against her. Yes, thank you for adding that. Yeah, because I did add again. Some details I'm still working on getting. But yes, this is not. There is no, as far as I'm aware, the woman on life support is on life support not because she has any chance of recovery. She's essentially an incubator at this point. And her family does not want this. How that's good for anybody, that's sort of beyond my comprehension. Because I'm pretty sure none of the people, let's be real, they're all Republicans, who are forcing this stuff through are going to care one tiny bit about that baby after it's born. And they will do nothing to help that baby. Dodie, thank you so much as always. Comment, congratulations to convicted felon Mad King Donnie on achieving downgrades. Yeah. Both of both the US credit rating and Human Rights Watch list. Treat fee from Zach. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Zach. Thank you for that treat fee. And yeah, well done, Donald. Well done. Yep. Making us great. I'm so tired of winning. I think he is too, because he seems sleepy. Focus Lady, thanks so very much for that. Question, is his fears of weakness Donald, is Donald's fear of weakness an example of identification with the aggressor? Interesting. And is his personality consistent with the concept of dark tetrad narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sadism? Well, let's see. As for the first part of the question, okay. Let me take a step back. Donald's that's overstating it. Much of Donald's characterological disorder is based on the fact that he is an extremely weak person, and this is going to sound reductive, but I promise you this is true. Who has never gotten what he most needed or wanted in life, which is to be loved. That is still what he most needs and wants. Okay. Now, that's the reason he didn't get love. The love he needed was because when he was very young, my grandmother was ill. And when Donald was in an extremely crucial developmental stage of his life, she wasn't around for about a year. It was when he was about 2.5. Okay. Could that rift be repaired? Of course. She would have had to become more present at some point, or there would have had to be another primary caregiver stepping in. Well, while she was away, his primary caregiver, loosely speaking, was my grandfather, who was a sociopath. So my grandfather was incapable of love. Donald did not receive love, did not receive affection. He was not nurtured. He was not mirrored. So he built up all these defense mechanisms to protect him from his being lonely and afraid and unloved. Those defense mechanisms became hardened over time when my grandmother did not ultimately try to repair the rift for various reasons I can't get into because it would take too long. And then my grandfather started to value those things about Donald you and I find despicable. The bullying, the cruelty, the killer instinct, a willingness to lie, cheat, and steal. And because my grandfather valued them, Donald doubled down on them and became more like that. So on the one hand, he desperately still needs and wants to be loved. On the other hand, because of the character traits that my grandfather instilled in him, he's unlovable. He's literally unlovable. So, which sort of renders the second, the concepts you refer to in the second part of your question irrelevant, because his narcissism is based on that insecurity, and he's not smart enough to be Machiavellian. And I'm not saying he's not sadist. He definitely likes cruelty, but that also stems from his insecurity. Because if you notice, he's most cruel to people who are really vulnerable. So that's way too complex to get into, but that just is another indicator to me that stems from his own insecurity. And as to whether or not he's a psychopath, I reject that simply because, well, one, I can't diagnose him, but let's put it this way. Let's assume for the sake of argument that one of the many things going on with Donald in terms of his psychiatric diagnoses is that he has antisocial personality disorder, right? Let's just, for the sake of argument, let's make that assumption. Well, these things exist on a continuum. If you go far enough to the bad end of that continuum, you can be you have some form of psychopathy. Psychopathy is not a separate diagnosis. It's just the extreme end of antisocial personality disorder. So, great question. Thank you. Just me in the house. Thank you as always. That is awesome. Question: if they manage to retrofit the 747 before Donald leaves office, is there any concern about military tech on Air Force One being in Donald's hand after his term? Yeah, of course, but it's not going to happen. It's just untenable. One, it would cost over $1 billion. And two, it's almost impossible for that to happen in the required amount of time. So if it takes 2 years, he's going to have the Air Force One for 6 months? It doesn't make any sense at all. Because if they're going to do it, they're not going to let him keep it. So I think it's highly unlikely. But yes, that would absolutely be a concern and a danger. Emmanuel, question: you've known Donald for a long time. Yes, my whole life. Sadly, you don't seem to have a high opinion of him. This is true. Young, he was presented as successful and brilliant. When did you start to realize that was not true? I never thought he was brilliant, that's for sure. But I really did think he was successful because that was the myth that my grandfather made up about him. And he acted like he and everybody in my family acted like he was some big shot who had who was more successful than my grandfather ever was, richer than my grandfather ever was. So there was literally no reason for me to think that wasn't true. I mean, I guess it surprised me a little bit because I didn't think he was particularly smart, but I just figured, hey, he's just good at what he does. He's good at this real estate thing. There was no way for me to know at the time that every single penny Donald had was my grandfather's. That all of Donald's success was because my grandfather loaned him money, power, influence. Yeah, that was a kick in the teeth. And no, I do not have a high opinion of him. It's one way of putting it. EOT, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Iato, maybe? 2001, question: do you still play the guitar? I don't play it as often as I should. I'm dying to get back to it. So, you know what? Because you asked, I'm going to do that. I've been traveling a lot, so it's been kind of hard to do anything consistently. But thanks for asking. Reminds me. Maggie Pie, thanks so very much for that question. Will Donald be impeached and convicted? Thoughts? I know. I'm afraid not. I mean, he will almost certainly, if the Democrats get back the House in 2026, Donald will be almost certainly be impeached. But even if the Democrats get back the Senate, they would need a supermajority in the Senate, and unless something so egregious happens, and you're thinking, wait, you mean more egregious than his, killing off 400,000 Americans, or more egregious than the treason? Yeah, I know exactly. If that's not enough to move a handful of Republicans, what could possibly be? I don't know. Hopefully, we won't find out. But even if he's impeached 3 or 4 times, I think it's extremely unlikely he'll be convicted, and that is depressing because At this point, thanks to the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court, there is literally no other way to hold this horrific serial criminal accountable for anything. In the middle of nowhere, thank you so very much, as always. I like this comment. You definitely need one more cat. Question, will they be on the show every time? The next kitten is a travel kitten. Going with me everywhere. Going to be on the shows. Very excited about it. Hopefully, like within the next month or so. I'll keep you posted. Chemical Squirrel. Hi, Mary. Hi. I hope you're having a good weekend. Yep. Thank you very much for asking. I hope you are too. Question, what scandal can the Trumpster fire do that finally crosses the line for Republicans? Yes, that just speaks to the last question. I don't know. I literally don't know. I don't think there is one. I just don't. They will tie themselves in knots to justify whatever horrific thing this. Again, look at all the horrific things he has done already. It's maddening. Bexer John, thanks so much for that. Comment, my cats cannot see their way clear to pay my fee. Feel what you were doing and saying thanks. Poot is short for poodle tail. Okay. Well, that's okay. But thank you. I don't know. Do cats have poodle tails? I'm not really sure. Maybe. Confused philosopher. Great handle. Question. Did you hear Donald let slip who pays tariffs? He told Walmart to eat the cost of the tariffs. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, every once in a while he accidentally tells the truth, and it's enlightening. Ay. Groove Dragon. Question. Is being a cis white male necessary to be elected president of the United States? No. Listen, Hillary Clinton won. She got 3 million more votes. The only reason he got in the Oval Office is because we have a corrupt, racist, antiquated system known as the Electoral College, and not the wherewithal to do away with it because it benefits Republicans in small states that are almost all red. And so I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I apologize. The 2024 election was not without its problems. So I think we do ourselves a great disservice by deciding that only a white straight guy can win the presidency of the United States. The problem, however, is that the system is rigged in a way that benefits such people. That's the challenge. But let's not assume that it's a foregone conclusion. But I get it. I totally get it. Kelly, thanks so very much for that. I like this. I hope we all survive this fee. Yeah, me too. Paul from Substack. Question, do you think Donald creates his own proposals or does he need his cabinet come up with his orders? Donald knows nothing about anything that's going on, and I think that's why they have to read the executive orders out loud before he signs them. He doesn't know anything about policy. He doesn't care about policy. He likes things that are cruel and destructive for sure, but people in his cabinet and people in his inner circle, like Stephen Miller, they have carte blanche to do whatever they want. As long, again, as it's horrible, cruel, and destructive. Moscato Summer asks a question. What do you think about the valedictorian speech at NYU? I haven't heard it yet. I've been traveling for the last. It's been a crazy couple of days. I literally have just kind of landed, so unfortunately, I haven't been able to keep up with everything. But from what I understand, yes, they addressed Gaza. I will listen to it for sure. I just wish that more people would have that kind of courage because, again, I'm being told right now that NYU is trying to hold the diploma of valedictorian, and that's despicable. It's despicable because, the valedictorian paid for their education, and clearly they did well. So they should get their diploma no matter what. But God, what is wrong? New York, you are seriously letting me down. Between New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Governor Kathy Hochul, who could have gotten rid of one of the most corrupt mayors we've ever had, but decided not to bother. Columbia, just bending the knee, and now this and NYU. Like, what is going on? This is a First Amendment right that this person has. This person in their early 20s, by the way, taking an opportunity to do something, in this case, brave and risky. Where is everybody? Where are the people who have experience, who've been around, who can speak out without taking the same kind of risks? Really, where are the rest of you people? Yeah, it's all pretty incredible. That anyway, I'm definitely going to talk about it tomorrow for sure, because we need to focus on things like that. One, to highlight the bravery it takes to do this sort of thing, and two, to underscore that the reason it takes bravery is because there just are not enough people in positions of power and relative safety and security backing these people up. It's horrifying to me. Muggsykins, thank you so very much. Canadian in the house, elbows up. You guys rock. Albertan here. We won't join the USA. No way. No. Given enough time, question. Given enough time, will Donald just get bored and move on? We burnt the White House down twice already. No, he will not get bored and move on. I mean, he's probably bored and miserable, but he's not going to move on because he can't. Like, on to what? It's all about money and power for him. He's got more money than he's ever had because he's corrupt, and people know that the United States of America is for sale in addition to his being for sale. So no, he's not going anywhere. But he's not. It's weird. Like, I guess in a way, I guess we should be grateful that he doesn't know what he's doing, because he's not really doing much. He spent the whole weekend, whining on social media and probably playing golf. So, but no, sadly, he's not going anywhere. And also, sadly, there are way too many corrupt, powerful people around him who are willing to do the hideous things he's not capable of crafting. Betty Veronica 2.0, thank you so much. It's great to see you. Comment, Mary, please accept this small gift. Quote, never turn down a gift of money, even if on a super chat, unquote. Yes, great callback to my grandmother's brilliant piece of advice. For those of you who haven't seen the video I made yet, it's sort of about, why one of the sort of deep psychological reasons Donald is incapable of turning down this corrupt gift, this bribe from Qatar. When I was in my early 20s, I was visiting my grandmother. We're actually pretty close at some point, and the only piece of sage advice the woman ever gave me was never reject a gift of money. Life-changing stuff. But clearly Donald took that to heart, and boy, can he never reject a gift of money, no matter where it comes from. Sybil, question. Do you have any info when the measles reported? Oh, Jesus, at the Newark airport. How many countries inoculate for measles? There's a measles. I have not. Again, I have haven't been around, unfortunately. There's a lot going on at Newark Airport. My goodness. There's a lot going on everywhere. I was flying out of DCA. I don't even, I think it was 2 days ago. I don't remember. Time means nothing. My flight was delayed for 7 hours. 7 hours. So something is going on. Also, Sybil, I'm not sure if I thanked you. So I'm thanking you now. Thanks so very much. Yeah, so 2 days ago, there was a reported measles, I don't know, case or outbreak at Newark, and, yeah, that's just bad. And that's what happens when people stop when people start listening to, pathic, conspiracy theorists like Robert Kennedy, who is now Secretary of Health and Human Services. Christopher, thank you so very much, Christopher. Comment, we're all in this together, Fee. Absolutely. I will be attending both the local protest mayor this coming Wednesday, along with the No Kings one on June 14th. Excellent. Love it. Yeah, I'm hoping that June 14th one is going to be really huge and intense. So we'll keep you posted about, that's in a little less than a month. We will certainly be keeping you updated all along. Elvira, oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. Comment. Thank you, Dr. Mary. Well, thank you very much indeed. All right. Got some people to thank. Let's go. Sybil. Oh, look at that. We got a new member. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Minus Cheryl gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership again. Thank you, Minus Cheryl. Great. Love it. Loves my dogs a lot. Also a new member. Thank you for that. A Blue Heron, thank you very much. Another new member, Focus Lady, thank you. And another one, Margaret, fantastic. GBW, thank you very much. Very kind of you. And Arioso, thank you. Kind of you as well. Robin, awesome. Thank you. Jimmy, thank you as always. That's fantastic. Very generous of you. And we appreciate it greatly. Jane, super sticker, awesome. Thank you very much. John, another super sticker, fantastic. Thank you. Wendy, excellent, much appreciated. One of our moderators, new member, thank you, Mark, fantastic, and thanks for everything you do. And another super sticker, Elwood, awesome. Thanks, guys. And I want to thank a couple of other people who are new founding members, Jimmy and Donna. You guys, that's amazing, truly. So if you would please, because there are some things that come with your membership, we need to be able to be in touch with you. So please email us at info@MaryTrumpMedia. That's info@MaryTrumpMedia. And in the subject line, just put founding member. And we will get back to you, and we'll need some information from you so we can get you your perks. But seriously, awesome. Much appreciated. And again, I encourage all of you to check out our subscription levels, our paid subscription levels. But remember, the easiest way to support us is just subscribe to the channel. It does not cost anything. Click on the bell icon, and you'll be alerted every time a new video drops, because in addition to the lives, because, Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've got Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. Monday through Friday, we've got Mary Trump Live, 6 p.m. Eastern. We've got videos, pre-recorded videos happening every single day. And it really helps us if you watch them, share them, comment on them. So that is the easiest way to support us. And it really does have an impact. So thank you for doing that. Everybody watching on YouTube, everybody streaming on Twitter, and of course over at The Good in Us. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your questions tonight. And everybody listening to the podcast, that helps us as well. To everybody who's a new member, everybody who's a super sticker, everybody giving us gifts. You guys help us keep the lights on. So very much appreciated. Independent media is the future. And we are trying really hard to grow, and we could not do it without you. And we wouldn't, quite frankly. To our most fabulous moderators, to my fantastic team, but tonight, especially thanks to Mercedes for keeping this going and keeping me on track. And that does it for us. I will be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, for Mary Trump Live. And again, don't forget, we've got videos dropping tomorrow as well. So I will see you tomorrow night. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.